Previously on Avatar.
I said that the next recipe was going to be something floral. It was going to be a really good shortbread recipe. So that recipe is going to come just maybe like a little bit later. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but eggs are expensive. Listen, I know this is probably not topical anymore, and had I made this video 2 months ago, I probably would have been more of the times, but this stuff takes time, okay? It takes a minute for the stuff to come to me. A couple of months ago, I had said that I was gonna be putting out a floral cookie recipe, and I scrapped it just because I wasn't feeling it. I couldn't get it to work. And now I bring you that cookie. It is a lavender shortbread cookie. I bring it to you alongside another cookie that I'm really excited about. It is a banana bread cookie, a banana bread chocolate chip cookie. The fun thing about both of these recipes is that neither of them contain eggs, and both of them naturally don't contain eggs. So you don't need any replacements like a flaxseed or like an egg replacer or anything like that. They just are egg free. I thought that would be perfect, especially since, I mean, egg prices are going back down, but they are still nowhere near where they should be. And not to mention that there are other reasons other than egg prices for people to not want eggs in their desserts. It could be for an allergy reason, it could be because maybe they're vegan. There are a million other reasons why people need alternative baking recipes. That being said, I'm very excited to share these recipes with you today. Side note on the vegan part of this, because both of these don't use eggs in them already, the only thing that is not vegan is the butter. Both of them use butter. I haven't personally tried it, but you could use like a vegan replacement butter in either of these recipes, and I do believe that they would work perfectly fine. And that's then the only ingredient that you'd have to swap out, making these a really good vegan alternate. I will say that eggs are probably one of the easiest ingredients to replace. Not that they're like not necessary or that you don't need them, but their functions are easily mimicked by other ingredients that you probably already have in your pantry. For cookies specifically, eggs act as like a binder, and they act to hydrate and add fat to your cookie dough. So not only is it gonna enhance the flavor with the fat, but it's gonna help bind everything together and keep your dough from just being like a crumbly mess. It'll keep everything cohesive. In other recipes, eggs often act as leavening agents as well, and in those situations, they're not as easy to replace, but luckily, this is not one of them. The first recipe that we're going to be talking about is the recipe that I owe you guys, and it is a lavender brown sugar shortbread. Shortbread historically does not have any eggs in it. It doesn't even have any leavening in it usually. It's just flour, sugar, and butter. People use different ratios of those three things. Some people swap out the types of sugar. I personally am a really big fan of using confectioner's sugar in my shortbread, and I do believe I have a recipe, like a shortbread recipe on the channel that does use confectioner's sugar. When you use confectioner's sugar instead of granulated sugar, it dissolves into the butter better. Yeah, that's right. It dissolves into the butter better. I don't know why that sounds weird. It dissolves more easily into the butter, and it traps less air, so you get less of like a spread on your cookies, and it keeps it more tender. But obviously, I really wanted to do a brown sugar shortbread. So the trick with a shortbread is to use enough butter so that it holds everything together, but not so much that it spreads too much, because obviously what does butter like to do when it's exposed to heat? Melt. And then also to have enough flour in it so that it holds its shape, but not so much that it is a dry, crumbly mess. There are some shortbreads that are objectively disgusting. They're really dry and brittle, and they don't have a really good flavor, and that's because there's so much flour in them that they held their shape really well, but they just it's like powder in your mouth. It's not good. I'm using light brown sugar for this recipe just because it's going with the lavender. If you want to use dark brown sugar, you absolutely can, and you'll have more of like a caramelly, molasses-y flavor, but I wanted to kind of balance it more with the lavender, so I went with light brown sugar. Also, now that we're talking about the lavender, make sure you're using culinary grade lavender. You can find it in most grocery stores at this point, or you can get it online. It's not as soapy as like ornamental lavender or lavender that you would buy at the store on like a stem. Culinary lavender is grown to be used in food. It has a better flavor. It's not as aggressive, and it just tastes better. The carameliness and the warmth of the brown sugar kind of takes the soapiness away from the lavender, so it's a much more mellow flavor. They go surprisingly really well together. But if you don't want to use the lavender at all, you can absolutely swap it out for like black tea or chai tea or rose petals or anything else. You can also leave it out entirely if you want. You can also add a citrus zest, like I think an orange and brown sugar shortbread would be really good here. Shortbread is a really great blank canvas for plenty of different flavors and combinations and anything you can think of, really. The one thing that I will say that I did not say in my original shortbread video is if you add inclusions, you have to make sure they are finely chopped. Like if you want to add chocolate to this recipe, absolutely go ahead. I think it'll be so delicious, but you have to make sure the chocolate is finely chopped because you are going to refrigerate this dough and slice it cold. So you trying to get your knife through all of these big inclusions that you've added in, it's probably going to crumble and fall apart. And it kind of did happen to me in the last video also. Like my knife was just could not get through the chocolate and the candied orange peel, and I should have chopped it a lot finer than I did in that video. And that's not to say that you can't like push it back together. It's really not that big of a deal. It's cookie dough. It will push together just fine. But to save yourself a little bit of a headache, to save yourself some hassle, just make sure everything's finely chopped before you add it in. So for our lovely lavender shortbread, we're gonna start with the basics. We have softened butter and light brown sugar, and I'm just creaming that all together until it's combined, pale and fluffy and smooth. And then I did accidentally forget the vanilla, so make sure you add that in. But for our dry ingredients, because we don't have any leaveners and I'm not worried about there being any pockets of anything, I just added that straight to the bowl. This is the lavender that I used. You can, again, find that at most any grocery store at this point. Basically, you just mix that in until it's completely combined. It may look a little bit crumbly at first, also because I was using a hand mixer. That's part of the reason why it looks crumbly, but if you press it in your hands, it should hold together. So I'm just gonna knead that in the bowl really quick to make sure that I have no dry bits and make sure everything is compact and there are no air pockets, because if you go to roll this in a log and you have a hollow center, you're gonna be really pissed off when you go to slice it. So again, I'm just kneading everything to make sure it's completely combined and there's no air pockets, and I'm rolling it to a 6-inch log so that we can get 12 half-inch cookies, and then I'm gonna wrap it in plastic wrap and just stick it in my refrigerator until I'm ready to use it, at least 2 hours. So our shortbread has been chilling for about 2 hours. I just popped it out of the fridge and we're gonna get ready to slice and bake it. Slice and bake. If this is just something that you kind of want to keep on hand and, you know, bake off a couple of cookies here and there, you don't want to make the whole thing all at once, you can just throw it straight into the freezer and you can bake them from frozen. They might take a little bit longer because they have to thaw and then bake first in the oven, but you can absolutely do that. One thing I am going to do to kind of like zhuzh up the outside of it a little bit is roll it in some sugar. You've probably seen people rolling their cookies, like their slice and bake cookies, in sugar, turbinado sugar, sanding sugar, sparkling sugar, even like sprinkles if you want to get crazy. Any of those would be great and any of those would work. I typically would brush the outside of the dough log in like an egg white or something before rolling it in sprinkles or any kind of like larger piece of sugar, just because it sticks a lot better. And I'm trying to keep this recipe egg free, so we're just going to be rolling this in granulated sugar, which does not require any like brushing of egg white beforehand. This is golden castor sugar. I just had it on hand. I put it on a flat surface so that we can roll it onto the sugar and it should just pick it up and stick to the outside of it. I've done it before where I've made like orange or citrus sugar, like rubbed the citrus zest in the sugar and then rolled that on the outside. It gives like a nice light citrusy flavor and fragrance, which is really, really nice. Putting sugar on the outside gives it like a nice like crunch and a nice sparkle, which is really, really pretty. 100% advocate it, but it is optional. So I somehow deleted the talking head of me going over this recipe, so here I am in voiceover form going over parts of it with you. Basically, when I was developing this recipe, I was like, what do I like on banana bread? Oh yeah, streusel. So this is a pretty straightforward buttery streusel recipe where you combine all of the dry ingredients and then work cold butter in until it is a crumbly, buttery dream. You can swap the walnuts out for like pecans, or you can take them out entirely if you don't want them, but I think it adds a nice like toasty warmth to the streusel, and it's just so delicious. Okay, so here's our streusel. It's all ready to go and ready to use. You can make this part ahead if you just want to make the streusel, pop it in the fridge, and then when you have made your cookie dough, it's ready to use. Coming out of the fridge, it might be a little bit firm just because obviously the butter is cold again, but if you just kind of like zhuzh it, it'll crumble up again nicely. I will say that when you go to use it, try your best to kind of like keep the chunks a little bit on the bigger side. Obviously you don't want them to be huge, but when you pop the streusel onto the cookies, or I guess when you drop the cookies into the streusel, if it's all a bunch of little pieces, by the time it bakes, it won't really read as streusel. It'll kind of just read as like a bunch of flour clumps. So try to keep them on the bigger side, like more crumbly and less sandy. Okay, so I'm back in voiceover form because I want to talk about the bananas, aka the star of the show. These are pretty much the bare minimum of ripeness that you would want for your banana. You would probably want something even darker than this. If you want to raid the freezer and save that black banana you were saving for your smoothie and thaw it out, I think that's a great idea. That's pretty much what I did when I was testing it. Basically, as a banana ripens, the sugars and the flavor concentrate, so you get the richest, strongest, truest banana flavor you could possibly get. If you use a almost green or completely unripe banana, you just won't get that same level of flavor. And basically, you just mash it up, get rid of all of the texture and all of the lumps, and add the rest of your wet ingredients just like you would for a regular stir together cookie dough or blondie batter. It's just butter and sugars and a little bit of vanilla. To our flour, we're going to add salt, baking soda, and a little bit of spice. As we get closer to fall, you can definitely add more spice, but I didn't want this to read too autumnal. I wanted it to just be pretty straightforward, like banana bread-y flavor. And then you fold everything together until it's nearly all combined, and I just added whatever chocolate chips I had in my pantry, which is why they're two different shapes. And then you fold everything until it's completely combined and luxurious and delicious. So our cookie dough is ready to scoop, it's ready to go. It is on the softer side. If you add too much flour to this, it's gonna turn cakey. So it is gonna seem like more of a blondie batter at first, but as the butter sets and cools just over the course of you mixing it, it will firm up. Like, I can pick this up totally fine. But that's actually what we want. We want it to be on the stickier side so that when we drop the cookie dough into the streusel has no problem sticking to the cookie dough. So I promise there's a reason for it. What I'm about to tell you may shock you. You don't have to chill these cookies. I know, trust me, I know. I am just as, if not more surprised than you are. Even with the melted butter, they don't really need to be refrigerated. They can just go straight into the oven. They do bake at 350 for 10 to 13 minutes, depending. Basically, all you're looking for is for them to be set on the edges. They'll still look really soft in the middle when they're done, but you're going to take them out of the oven and kind of like slam them down onto the stove to encourage them to finish flattening out, basically. And that's what's going to give you that really nice chew, get rid of any cakiness. Now again, if you're looking to split this process up a little bit, I know with the shortbread it's really easy to like make the dough, refrigerate it, and kind of bake it off whenever you want to. These can go into the refrigerator, absolutely. They might not spread as much if you're baking them from cold. That is up to you. I'm trusting you here. I feel like we've worked together a lot over the years, and I feel like you're competent and you can handle this. So choose your own adventure, do what works for you. What works for me is baking these off right now, having a delicious banana bread cookie in about 20 minutes, maybe? We'll see. Let's go. And with that, the cookies are done. Listen, I am a cookie fiend. I am a cookie girl. I do love to partake in a cookie snack. I am kind of particular about my cookies. I don't like them to be super dry, obviously. I don't like them to be cakey. If I wanted a cakey cookie, I would eat cake. So I think that these are two really, really good, solid cookie options for people who are, for whatever reason, not eating eggs. I do want to go over some final thoughts for each cookie individually, starting with the lavender shortbread ones. The lavender cookies turned out really, really good. I'm really, really happy with them. They held their shape really, really well. They are really short and tender, but not super dry. They're still really buttery. So I think that these shortbread cookies really hit the sweet spot for like something that's really tender, but not like eating just like flour. I will say though that when I was shooting the cookies for this video, they started to soften as I was like slicing them, just because obviously like when I shoot, things take me longer. I'm like moving the camera and I'm lining things up. So it was sitting out for kind of a little bit longer than I would have liked. I did not slice them immediately out of the fridge. The dough started to soften and the lavender started to drag through the cookie dough as I was slicing it, leaving these like lines. And for whatever reason, I know these cookies don't spread in the oven. I don't know why I thought that the lines would just kind of like melt into the cookie. They don't. They stay there. I don't know why I thought that. So I have made these before, sliced them straight out of the fridge. The lavender has not like dragged through the dough and it has not made those lines. I really think that it was just because the dough softened as it was sitting out. It wasn't as like solid as I would have liked it to be. Some of them came out, I don't know if you can tell or not, but some of them came out with like the little lines on top. It's not that big of a deal. They still taste really good, but for like aesthetic purposes, obviously it's like not ideal. Most of them came out like this. So that's like pretty perfect if you ask me. If that does happen to you, just like use your fingers to soften the dough and try to like get rid of those lines as best you can. Now the peanut butter cookies, peanut butter, where did I get peanut butter? Let's move on to the banana cookies, shall we? I think this is the biblically accurate cookie. This is probably the most cookie to have ever cookied. I mean, what? This is literally perfect. I'm gonna run this in resin and hang it on my wall. I'm so happy with the banana cookies. I think the amount of salt and the ripeness of the banana really helps to bring that banana flavor through. So it truly does taste like you're eating just like chewy, delicious banana bread. These cookies obviously taste like banana. So if you don't want banana bread cookies, you just want chocolate chip cookies and you don't want to do the streusel on top, I can't say for certain because I haven't actually tried it, but if you use a banana that's just not as ripe, the flavors are not as concentrated, you probably won't taste the banana flavor that much or as much as you are for this recipe. I developed this recipe wanting to taste the banana, so it didn't really occur to me what you would do if you didn't want to taste the banana. I'm really happy with both of these cookie recipes. I am absolutely keeping these in the rotation for the rest of my life, forever. The lavender shortbread tastes so delicious. They're really light and floral and fresh, and the like molassesy caramel flavor from the brown sugar keeps the lavender from tasting like soapy or super powdery and off-putting. The banana bread cookies, I mean, they taste phenomenal. I'm so happy with them. Probably my favorite cookie recipe that I've developed so far. And the walnut streusel is just so fun. Like, I'm over the moon. I'm really excited about them, and I hope that you give them a shot. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed May's recipe. I know I'm getting this to you a little bit late. That is all that I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making the video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or requests, please leave them in the comments down below, or you can find my socials down below. You can find the full method of prep, full recipes, full ingredients list for both of these recipes on my website, which I will link down below. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more recipe videos from me. I put out new recipes at least once a month. Sometimes you get a video like this where it's a twofer. And as we get into the summertime, where we have so many different things in season, so many different things to try, I'm really excited to share the recipes that I have with you guys slated for the summer months. We haven't done anything bready in a while, so I do have a bread coming up. I hope you are all happy and safe wherever you are in the world, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!